Hi and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. Back once again answering your questions in the wrestling community, episode 53 of AskSCW. If you want to get involved, you can leave the hashtag AskSCW. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all should be coming up on your screen right now, or you can drop a comment here on YouTube. Make sure to hit the bell as well when you subscribe. You can be up to date with each and every video as and when they are released. Shout out to Wrestle Customs 24/7. Their website should be coming up for you on the screen now, and you can also follow them on social media. All your custom-made championships for WWE and AEW. And in fact, new championships have been released this week as well on the website. Go and check them out. Maybe, just maybe, next in their collection could be Ring of Honor as we go in towards our first question from Twitter this week. And that is coming from 1 Minute Wrestling Reviews. Should all of ROH's matches be pure rules? I really like this question. I really wanted to kick off with Ring of Honor this week because obviously with the pandemic, they've had, what is it, like a 6-month break? Probably the longest that a lot of those wrestlers haven't wrestled unless they've been injured. It's been a long break for me since watching Ring of Honor as well. I've had a break probably, I want to say, for about a year now. I stopped a little bit last year just for timing issues. Didn't really have the opportunity to keep up what was going on. But since the fact of everything that's been going on this year, I've just had the opportunity this week to check it out. And of course, the Pure Rules tournament, the Pure Rules Championship, has come back, and I wanted to start off with this because I want to plea for all my wrestling viewers out there to go and check Ring of Honor out. I think that it's fantastic this has been brought back. It's been just great with the way they've got the rules and the setting for this, and like you said, they should have been brought in for all matches. So let's go through what the rules are of the Pure Championship tournament going through. So we have rope breaks. We've got 3 rope breaks only during a match. So if you're going to go for a rope break, you can only grab the ropes for a submission or to try and escape in some sort of move 3 times in the match. If not, you are on your own. Closed fists are not allowed either, so you can't punch someone outright in the face. A slap, something like that, uppercut, you know, those sort of things are perfectly fine, but a full-on smack, you can only do it once. You'll get sort of like a warning. Second time, you are disqualified. Third rule as well, if anyone is to interfere in the match, not only is the person disqualified, but the person who interferes is suspended or terminated from the company. So it makes it purely like this is one-on-one. There will be no interference. It will be straight up wrestling, and it's very technical, submission-based wrestling as well. It feels that real purity, as they say in the title there. The championship, of course, was first brought in 2004. AJ Styles was the first winner, beating CM Punk. We've had all sorts of winners like Jay Lethal. We've had Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, of course, formerly Daniel Bryan in WWE. So it's been great to see the history of that championship and being brought back here today, and having the opportunity to see it this week, I thought it was just really fun to see, and I thought that the first 2 matches of that tournament was so good. I mean, we had a pay-per-view level match for Ring of Honor, Jay Lethal against Dalton Castle, and then we had Wheeler Yuta, young 23-year-old who was being trained by Drew Gulak, taking on the Octopus Jonathan Gresham, which I really enjoyed that match as well because it really showed the rules there. In the first match, we saw a couple of rope breaks, you know, and with a time limit as well in these tournaments, you kind of know that you're a race against the clock to win it as well. In the second match, we saw the closed fist. We saw the opportunity of how potential it could be if someone was to be disqualified, and just, you know, with being outside the ring as well, instead of a 10 count, it's a 20 count, and just those elements of those matches just made it all the more exciting. The presentation as well of the matches, the camera work, you can't tell there's no fans there. It's been so well done on the presentation. The whole thing from start to finish has just been perfect. Even before superstars come to the ring, huge profiles on who people are. Even if you know them, Jay Lethal, you can see where they've been, what they've done, what they mean to the company, and for newcomers like Wheeler Yuta, and to see where he's been, how he's been trained, and to see his first opportunity, and you really get behind those superstars. So I really have enjoyed that so far, and it's a plea for people to please go and watch it. So to answer the question in depth now, we know all the rules. My thing is, now we have the championship. Do we need to do it in all matches? Well, we now have a division, you know, devoted to it, so perhaps maybe we shouldn't. But had they've not brought that championship back, I like the fact of the individuality that this brings to Ring of Honor. It separates them from so many other companies, and it's what they represent. I mean, of course, the handshake, the code of honor has been done all the way through Ring of Honor, usually with a handshake before and meant to be after the match. In this, you know, you must do it. It's like wearing a mask when you go to the supermarket. You have to shake hands here in this circumstances. So it's interesting to see. It brings something different to the product of wrestling wrestling in general. I think it's really good. It's something I am pleased to see back. Had that championship not come back, I would have liked to have seen it all throughout Ring of Honor because it's something different. Like I say, it makes them individual. But as we have that championship, let's keep that separate. It's a championship for that. Let's have the rest of the championships as of normal. But this, it's a standout. It makes you want to see it. It's kind of what made, you know, TNA special back in the day when it had the X Division. It was something very special and unique to them. This is what it has for Ring of Honor. I'm sure it's going to bring a lot of purist fans in, people that love their technical wrestling, people that love submission-based wrestling. I think this is going to intrigue a lot of people, you know, to bring their eyes back to Ring of Honor. So I think this is brilliant. I think it's for the next 7 or 8 weeks that they've got the tapings for this, so I'm happy to see how it's going to play out. I'm looking forward to next week, and yeah, let's see who's going to win the tournament. Let me know who you think is going to win in the comments below. Moving on to WWE questions then, we've got Dylan Ketchum with our first one there for us, and since the rumours going around that Melina might be returning to WWE, who would you like to see her go up against? Well, shout out to Noob and Co as well, who asked about Melina as well. And of course, it is the burning topic this weekend. Melina was supposedly, it was in the rumor mill that she'd signed. She was there. She's come out now herself and said that she's not signed, but it is a possibility, but not to believe what we read on the internet, which sometimes I suppose maybe we can be a little bit guilty for. I'm not sure, but I still think it's going to happen. I think that even if it's not signed on the dotted line yet, I'm expecting we're going to see Melina going back into WWE, which first off, just to touch on NWA, losing so many superstars, even James Storm's contract is meant to have expired, and he's a tag team champion there. It just feels like their roster is feeling depleted. I'm a little bit worried for NWA at this particular moment, because there's no sight of when they're going to return either. A lot of superstars not under contract, or contracts have expired. You know, Thunder Rosa is flying the flag for them right now in AEW. Maybe they need to really establish that relationship there, because that will be good for when they do want to return, and maybe they've got some up-and-comers they can bring in. But as for Melina leaving, I mean, it's a big hole in their women's division, because she was probably arguably the big name that was in that division at that time. If you want from casual standpoint, she was the big name. And coming to WWE, she's someone that's been a multiple-time women's champion. She can bring something to the company that isn't there. She can almost be the legend on the other brand that Mickie James is on the Raw brand. So, for example, I would love to bring her in on SmackDown. I think matches like Sasha Banks and Bayley really appeal to me. I think that looking against, you know, the 4 horsewomen, if you want, Charlotte as well, they feel like dream matches. When you look at Melina, she was the best of, you know, that sort of mid-noughties era up until like 2010, 2011 when she left the company. And you look now at the superstars of today, all those top women, you know, if it's Asuka on Raw, there's so many great matches that Melina could have, because she can still go. Watching her in NWA, she can still go, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she would bring to the table if she comes, or potentially when she comes back to WWE. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great signing. I think it'll be good for her, you know, because of the fact she's going to get TV time. I would expect her to come near the top of the division to start off with, and then I expect her probably to, you know, work down the pecking order to try and give everybody that rub, because it's great to see those newer superstars pick up a win over someone like a Melina. It puts them on a different level, because, like I said, she's been a multi-time women's champion. So I think that for WWE, for their superstars, it's going to be great. Melina coming in, you know, will she do something unique? I mean, I was speaking to George, who I record This Week in Wrestling with for the last number of weeks, and he suggested maybe that her and Carmella maybe at one point would be kind of a unique sort of tag team. Obviously, with the stuff that's been going on with the Carmella stuff backstage at the moment, kind of has that similar feel. I mean, Melina obviously was very glam when she was in WWE. Maybe it's a tag team for the tag team division, because let's be fair, WWE needs a few more of those in the women's division. So there's lots of different ideas, lots of different variables. If you wanted my top 2 matches, Sasha Banks and Bayley would be the 2 that I really want to see. So for me, I would really want to see her start with SmackDown. Let's get those other questions from Noob and Co. and asking, do you think Zelina Vega will stand a chance against Asuka for the Raw Women's title? And do you think Ronda Rousey is hinting at a WWE return? Well, let's start with Ronda Rousey, shall we? Because, of course, we talked about one potential return. Let's talk about the other one. Ronda Rousey has been in the news a lot over the last week or so amongst wrestling fans. Once again, of course, she was actually training with Roddy Piper's daughter, which is the first time we've seen her in any capacity with wrestling for a long time now. It could have been just training. It could have been training for her, though. Who's to say it's just for Roddy Piper's daughter? It could be the fact that she could be coming back into the mix sometime soon. Maybe the Royal Rumble. It's not too far. down the road. And of course, WWE apparently still have it under contract. Apparently, it was a 3-year deal she signed, so she's still under contract until probably just after WrestleMania or so next year. It'd be interesting to see what would happen there. But of course, the other bit of news that came out was that she actually did a retweet or a memory throwback with Natalya, one of arguably her better matches that I felt she had with her, which was a match on Monday Night Raw, and she said that she looked forward to a rematch somewhere down the road, which makes you think her wrestling days are not finished. So I think there's a potential it could happen. I want to see it happen because if you look at it from a casual standpoint outside of the wrestling bubble, people care about Ronda Rousey. They would actually come in to see what she is doing, and I think that it would bring more eyes to the product, which can only be a good thing for the other wrestlers there, whether it's the men's division or women's division. And I think it would just elevate the women's division up just another notch once again, because you could argue that it's gone down slightly. I mean, obviously Ronda Rousey, her last action was a WrestleMania main event, and of course we haven't had that since, albeit though we've only had one WrestleMania main event since. You know, just to look at it, I think that it would be good. I think it'd be good for women's wrestling. I think it'd be good for the company overall. I think it'd be good for Ronda Rousey. I'll get her back in. I would love to see it happen, but we'll have to wait and see. I guess time will tell on this one. But if I had to make a wager one way or another, I reckon so. I think there's still some matches there for Ronda to do before she walks away completely. In fact, we need, if Becky Lynch comes back one day after after becoming a mum, we need the one-on-one match with Becky and Ronda. That is probably, if there's one way that Ronda goes out, that's the place that it happens. But there's other matches still Ronda could do in the meantime, whether it's Asuka, for example, who we're coming on to in a second. You know, there's other great women amongst the divisions as well. I mean, even a one-on-one match with Charlotte Flair, which they had one before, but that even finished, on a false finish. It would be good to see that finish on a clean finish. So there's still stuff for Ronda to do, in my opinion, in WWE. So I would like to see her come back. As for Zelina Vega, well, in the short term, I don't think she stands a chance, no. In the long term, yes, and here's my reasoning why. Zelina Vega is a fantastic talker. She can carry a promo, and she's actually good in ring work as well. She's got the skills to get the job done. The difference with Zelina Vega and why she doesn't stand a chance in the short term, or why she shouldn't, is the fact that this has sort of come out of the blue. She needed to be built up. It's classic WWE. If she was winning 2 or 3 months in a row, whether it's on main event, starting to get matches then on Raw, winning, and gets a winning streak, you start thinking, well, she's in contention. She should be someone going for the championship. But because of the fact she's just walked away from her management duties and all of a sudden says, I'm going to put myself first in the championship picture, you kind of think, well, hang on, there's other women that probably deserves that opportunity more at this moment. But you look at Zelina Vega, I think she's someone that could carry a division in time. If she's booked correctly, she can wrestle, she's good in the ring, she's a bit on the shorter side, but, didn't harm Alexa Bliss when she was champion for all those multiple reigns. In fact, she's someone you could compare Zelina to, actually, as Alexa Bliss, because they're similar size and stature. They're both very good talkers, and, they can handle themselves in the ring. And it did great for Bliss back in, 2016, 17, 18. Why couldn't it work for Zelina Vega going forward? I think she's someone that could carry the division, because if you're a great talker as well, you can convey a great story. And I think that's what's really key. Something Vince McMahon likes, and apparently he's very high on Zelina Vega, although Vince McMahon's flavours do change weekly, it feels, if you listen to the rumour mill, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But I think Zelina Vega has potential, but if she gets a match at Clash of Champions, I don't see it going very well for her. Speaking of Clash of Champions, though, just before we go on to the next question, the predictions video will be coming out this week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, so do keep an eye out on the channel. Clash of Champions predictions will be coming up midweek, so yeah, you can go and check that out. Shout out to the hard-hitting wrestling show with our next question for us now. What would you predict on the relationship between Jey Uso and Universal Champion Roman Reigns? Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I must admit, I still am having a bit of a difficult time with Jey Uso in the championship picture. I'm also not a massive fan of the fact that Roman Reigns has now become the #1 heel in the company, yet he's facing 2 heels on SmackDown in Sheamus and King Corbin. But at the same time, the character work that they are doing with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns almost makes you want to forget all that, because what they're doing is a great story with these two going forward, because they're blood, they're family, they're like brothers. And what's really fun with that is it really shows with the dynamic in those matches, because Jey Uso, despite the fact he's throwing those little teases in there, having the championship, helping to get himself the victory, also making sure he gets the splash in after Roman hit the spear to get the 1-2-3. It's almost that one-upsmanship, that kind of classic family mentality sometimes that you might just get with your siblings, where you sit and go, I want to prove I'm the number one of the two kind of feeling, despite the fact that they're cousins. Roman seems to be playing along with it where he needs to, but the beautiful thing with it is that Roman is playing along with it to Jay's face. The second he turns around, the facial expression changes, and you can just see that Roman looks like he wants to annihilate, and it's something I really kind of want at Clash of Champions. I've said this previously on this series, and also this week in wrestling this week. I want Roman Reigns to absolutely destroy Jey Uso at the pay-per-view. I want it to be like a squash match, and I want, you know, Roman to hold his face up to the camera afterwards, look in the camera, and then say, I bet the family's proud of me now. I just want that heel killer line in there. I just think it'd be pretty awesome. But at the same time, I think it will be a close back and forth match. It's the biggest opportunity of Jey Uso's career, and it's great to see that he's getting that, despite perhaps, again, like the same as Zelina Vega, a lack of a push into the position. But still, I think it's proving to be a fun program. I'm definitely happy to see it play out and see where it goes. But the dynamic between the two is very fun. It's very sort of, you know, cousins, but like brothers. It's certainly fun to watch it play out. And Roman, you know, he's the one that holds the keys here, because he's the one that is keeping things civil. The second that it turns, which is probably going to be match time, bell time, that's when we know, and it's going to be go time. And Roman Reigns is probably going to tell Jey a new one. Let's be fair here. It's not going to go well for Jey Uso come Clash of Champions. Dan, the man Williams, for us next now with our next question. Who would you rather see in the ambulance match with Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton or Keith Lee? Randy Orton, and here's my reasoning for it, is that they've had the program since going on from SummerSlam. It makes perfect storyline logical sense. As much as I'm a fan of Keith Lee, and if Randy Orton can't go, Keith Lee is great to be in that position, but the storyline here, Keith Lee is the placeholder in it, which is sad to say, but he's in amongst main eventers, so we have to take the positive with that. But the storyline is Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. If we were to go forward to another pay-per-view, why not a triple threat? I'm perfectly happy to see that with these three. And Keith Lee deserves to be in the conversation, but the rivalry currently, especially for an ambulance stipulation, is Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. I love their SummerSlam match. It had no finishers. On the road to this, it's just finishers, and we're putting guys in ambulances, building towards this match. It's a fun stipulation match. It's something that I said on this channel a long time ago that they should do during the pandemic, just to break things up a little bit in the show, and I think that it's great that we've got this on pay-per-view. I personally think it should main event. I think the ambulance match with Drew McIntyre and Randy should be the one that closes the show. So for me, that would be my answer for you this time, is Randy Orton. But Keith Lee deserves to be in and around the picture. I wouldn't be surprised to see that if he was in the championship picture in the very near future. Austin Whitley with our next question this week. Although I'm glad Keith Lee is involved in the main event program on Raw, they have put him in weird matches where he can't win and get momentum. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are that I kind of agree with you to a certain degree, but despite the fact that we look at the negatives, I mean, without getting wins, you don't get momentum. So the fact that he's been on 6 matches now on Raw, I believe, and about 4 of them have been false finishes. One of them, which those false finishes, 2 have been disqualifications where he's lost. He didn't win a triple threat match, which was to lead him to get the championship picture to begin with, which got Randy into Clash of Champions. And he beat Randy Orton on pay-per-view. He did beat Dolph Ziggler as well on a match on Raw. So he's got a couple of wins under his belt. But like you said, he seems to be not getting that momentum in some ways because of the fact he's not picking up wins. But at the same time, like I said in the previous question, looking at the positives, he's in there with 2 of the top guys on Raw and probably 2 of the top guys in the company right now. And he's not losing. The key, I think, here is that, yes, he's not winning the matches, but WWE is not making him lose them either. He could clearly or easily be the one having his shoulders pinned on the mat here, because he's the placeholder in the Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton feud. He's the person that's in the middle, that's keeping things gelling and going along while these other 2 are being, driven off in ambulances. But at the same time, Keith Lee has been arguably being kept strong. He's not losing matches. He's, having these guys sell for him, and Randy Orton's made him look like $1 million, particularly at Payback, where he did, lose to Keith Lee cleanly. I wouldn't be surprised to see Keith Lee in the championship picture at some point in the near future. We'll have to wait and see how things are going to play out after Clash of Champions. As we go in towards the draft, we'll probably have a clear picture after that of where things go as we go towards Hell in a Cell Survivor Series. But Keith Lee, for me, is here to stay. He's someone that is going to succeed. He's not been perhaps as polished as I would like to have seen on a Raw start, in my personal opinion, and the reasoning for that is because I feel WWE likes to rush people's debuts, and if you look at Keith Lee, the music just doesn't seem ready, although I'm kind of growing on me a little bit more now. I still would like to just see Bask in the Glory and then the new music rather than a bad DJ mix in between with the two, but you probably catch my drift with that. The ring attire's changed a couple of times, but now maybe it's a bit more set with the latest look. But I mean, when it comes to in-ring action and the booking, yes, the wins are not coming there, but he's not losing those matches either. I even could say yes, disqualification, but people aren't remembering those sort of losses. They remember when the shoulders are pinned 1, 2, 3 on the mat. So the fact he's in the conversation with these two great superstars and he's not losing and he's still seen as one of the top guys on Raw in such a quick spell, and the fact he's got another opportunity coming up on this week's Raw to be in Clash of Champions still, just shows that WWE are thinking high of him, and I do think that the future is very bright for him. I even would say at this point it would be an early bet, but perhaps maybe could be a Royal Rumble shout. We'll have to wait and see with that. Next questions come from Mike, Italian Habs Mike, and he asks, with NXT lacking a top babyface, who should be the next top babyface? Also asking, if Adam Cole is the next top babyface, how would you turn him and how would you book it? Well, let's start with Adam Cole, because I think that he really could be the answer to the question that we're looking for here, because, I mean, like you said, he's the most over guy in NXT, whether it's babyface or heel. I know that you made some great comments in the suggestions last week after we did the Q&A, suggesting about Adam Cole, how he could turn babyface, how it could be a slow burn. Maybe we could have where the UE turn on him, because obviously he's done the 2 sweep with Finn Balor. He seems to be quite squeaky clean, where we see the likes of Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish still doing those cheap maneuvers, trying to attack Drake Maverick and Killian Dane on a weekly basis. Maybe it's a slow burn thing, like you're saying, that and the UE get kind of bored of it and turn on Cole, and he continues on to be a big babyface. I think that would be a natural storyline, a natural fit. And the other key thing is that Kyle O'Reilly is someone that could potentially get the next NXT Championship shot. Now, obviously, Finn Balor is a babyface right now. There's no getting around that. Despite the fact he's kind of a tweener, he is still more on the babyface side than he is on the heel side at this particular time. So I suppose at the moment for NXT, the big thing is to perhaps create those heels to get those opportunities. But Kyle O'Reilly is someone that is definitely doing things, squeaky clean now. He protected last week after Ciampa attacked Jake Atlas on NXT. So Riley seems to be doing the babyface moves, and he's done a video package how he thinks the UE's got his back, as he's going to have this championship opportunity and in the gauntlet elimination match. We still know that, of course, Kushida, Cameron Grimes are going to be announced in it, but we don't know who else is going to join. But I'd love to see Kyle O'Reilly get that opportunity. I think that he is slowly being groomed as someone to come back in, and of course he hasn't been around a lot of the summer during the Undisputed Era's tactics either, so it makes you wonder how long Kyle O'Reilly's been suggesting in his head on storyline terms of going on to the good side, certainly to get the singles opportunity as well after being so long as a tag team wrestler. Kyle O'Reilly can sell, by the way. He's a great wrestler, and I used to enjoy, speaking of Ring of Honor earlier in the video, I really was a fan of his work in ROH, and of course he got his championship win, of course, over Adam Cole, I believe it was. It's a Final Battle 2016 before just signing for WWE. So I want to see Kyle O'Reilly being that person who could be in the mix, and obviously for that also, it's great because it's a new face that could be built up as well, because that's what NXT is supposed to be all about, is these up and coming superstars. I mean, Adam Cole is someone who's been and done it all in NXT, and of course he has a top baby face. It can work, and it would work, but at the same time you look at it and say, oh, Adam Cole's just had a 400-day reign as champion. What is there left for him to do in NXT? He's won the North American Championship. He's been a tag team champion as well. He doesn't need to do anything else. He is ready for Raw and SmackDown. And I think that's the crucial key part when you look at NXT. They've got those superstars like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, who have been there and done it for so many years. It's all about building those new stars. It's time to elevate the next level. And of course, the UE breakup would make a lot of sense to do because it gives Adam Cole still something to do, whether it's him and O'Reilly against Strong and Fish at some point as a tag team match would be quite interesting to see as well. But I think O'Reilly is the one to keep an eye out for. Potentially is up and coming, could be a top babyface. Another one I would say outside the box completely would be Dexter Lumis, just purely because he's seen as a babyface on NXT. He's out with an injury at the moment, but he was being booked very strongly, and I would be interested to see what they're going to do when he eventually comes back. I think that he already is above the North American Championship picture in my personal opinion, and I believe that he could be. He's upper mid card at this particular time. It would be interesting to see where Karrion Kross fits in if he comes back to NXT at all upon his return. But if he doesn't, or if he does, should I say, maybe we could get Kross versus Lumis, which could be a top main event somewhere down the line. I'm sure it definitely would be fun watching that storyline play out. So for me, I would be interested in seeing that. And I think Dexter Lumis could be another key to your answer. Although I would say on the flip side, I do want to see Dexter Lumis at some point as a heel. So those are probably three names I'd throw out there as potential top baby faces from the NXT side. But hopefully, if they do a UE breakup, just going back on that point one more time, I hope that they use it to elevate all of the members, because I think Roderick Strong is an underutilized talent, so is Bobby Fish. I think that all of them could work towards the main event picture of NXT, whether it being a face or being a heel. Everything pro wrestling over. Next question for us now, and how do you improve WWE's tag team divisions? This is a really good question because although WWE have a stacked tag team division, they seem to be having bad luck with it on one side, which is SmackDown, and on the Raw side, it feels like everybody's kind of falling out or depleted in some format. I mean, if you look at SmackDown, we do have 4 tag teams currently active: Cesaro and Nakamura, who I think are good champions. Lucha House Party, which are clearly going to break up in the next little bit, certainly at least with Kalisto from the group anyway. We have Heavy Machinery, who could end up on Monday Night Raw in about a month's time from now, if Mandy's gone there as well. And we've got Miz and Morrison, which will be the 4 teams currently. The Usos, when Jimmy returns. Jay currently now has got himself a singles push. And the New Day, which of course they're now currently doing their singles stuff as well. Looking on the Raw side, we've had the Street Profits, who have been champions now, it feels like forever. But even though it's probably just been since February. We did have Andrade and Angel Garza, who are getting another go together on Raw as well, which is really strange. Seth Rollins and Murphy, arguably, you could say are a team, but they're not really. We have the Viking Raiders. Ivar looks to be injured. We've got the Hurt Business, who could go down the tag team avenue if they wanted to. And I suppose Retribution, when they start, if they wanted to, give members other things to do, could go into the tag team championship picture. So there are things they can do. But, I mean, when you look at things, there are a lot of perhaps superstars that are stuck in catering, that are not doing anything. I think that's when you throw people in teams together, maybe try and find a common bond with certain superstars, like they did before with Chad Gable, Shorty G as we call him these days. But I mean, there was a time where he was teaming with Ali, and now they're on separate brands. Maybe give it another go, put them back together. That could be a good way to get another team on there, try and get them some TV time, try and find a way individually to find the ways to get themselves over. Would be quite interesting to do. Something that I really want to see happen though, if I'm being brutally honest, I want to see the tag team championships merged. I want to see then one team actually going amongst both shows as the champions, and then that way it gives a bit of purpose of that these are the champions, these are the number one team, and also you can freshen things up all the time with the tag team championship match. Maybe not all the other matches are going to feel probably repeated over and over again, but perhaps when people come back into the mix, you can turn around and say, right, okay, we have one tag team champions, which are, let's say, are the Street Profits. They can go on SmackDown and go against, Cesaro and Nakamura, Heavy Machinery, Miz and Morrison. Then Miz and Morrison win the belts. They can come to Raw, take on the Viking Raiders. It kind of gives that different dynamic, and it keeps things just a bit fresher. So that's what I'd like to see happen with the belts. I don't think that's what's going to happen. So for that case, with a number of injuries. I mean, we've not even mentioned Robert Roode as well, who's meant to be teaming with Dolph Ziggler. He's been away for that long. You could just turn around and say, right, okay, let's have a few more of these throw-together tag teams, see what works, maybe test them on main event, places like that. If it feels like there's a connection, chemistry, put them on Raw, give them a shot, and see where it goes going forward. But WWE, they have a great tag team division, or potential of athletes in the tag team division, but they don't do the best with them. And although we're getting some attempted storylines, when you look with Otis, Miz and Morrison, it's not a great storyline, but it's a storyline. And maybe we have more storylines, that'll be better. But Street Profits and Viking Ratings, I'll finish off on them. They had a storyline going on of who was the best, and although you could argue maybe it was entertaining in places when we're stuck in the PC, they did something to break it away from that little performance centre to do something to just give us different things to watch rather than just being stuck in that little area. At the same time, it was kind of nonsense, and it kind of destroyed the credibility of the Viking Raiders. I mean, Ivar, is comedically the good-looking one, and Eric is not. But these guys were badasses that were just beating people up and were not losing. And now they seem to lose more regularly, a lot quicker. Eric this week on Raw just lost in like 2 minutes to Lashley, despite it being a singles match. But you look at it and say that these guys, they've fallen down. So they need to find a way to establish them as stronger teams, not doing so much comedy, and try and put them in the best matches as possible. But I really would like to see them merge the belts. That would be my preference of all the things that we've mentioned. Next question is coming from the kid, Mikey Wilkes. He wants to ask what current stars would be a good fit to be transformed into Mercy, Huskus, the Rambling Rabbit, and Abby in the Firefly Funhouse. That is a great question, and something that we really would love to see here on SCW. What's as mentioned earlier in the video, George, who does This Week in Wrestling with me, he has always wanted to see the payoff and wants to see the puppets turn into superstars themselves. And to ask that question there really fits so perfectly together, because we've been trying to speculate for the longest time who we think would be the best fit. Right now, with the Abby thing, I mean, of course, Alexa Bliss, that storyline playing out with The Fiend, certainly would put a lot of people in that direction wanting that to happen. I've never really wanted Alexa Bliss to be Sister Abigail itself. I just don't think that's a natural fit, but I do love the dynamic of the brainwash of where it's going with that character. It certainly is interesting. I'm finding it fascinating, actually, on SmackDown. I must admit, it's certainly it's taken me more in than I thought it would originally. But to give a little twist of that, Twisted Bliss, if you want, I do feel that Nikki Cross would be a better fit as Abby if you were to give of those two characters. And wouldn't it be interesting, just as a subtle seed beneath things, if Nikki Cross all along was Abby and this was a whole trap from the beginning to get Alexa Bliss in to be in and around the Firefly Funhouse? The fact that she doesn't want to lose her best friend, she's captured her, and it becomes both of them in the Firefly Funhouse in some sort of way. Maybe Alexa Bliss is almost like the innocent rabbit, if you want, in that situation. But Rambling Rabbit, though, at the same time, kind of feels almost like the jobber of the group. He seems to be the likeable comedy act, if you want. So, I mean, you can look in WWE, and there's certainly a few of those going around. But I certainly would love to see Bo Dallas involved in and around the Firefly Funhouse. Bray and Bo, naturally, they are brothers in real life, and I just think he would be a natural fit in-house somewhere, whether he did that or whether he played the Huskers character, which of course was meant to be Husky Harris, puts on a bit of timber, and I think that could kind of work. We mentioned Dexter Lumis earlier in the video, and I think he would be very interesting in the Firefly Funhouse as one of those characters that could come and bring life to what we're seeing with these characters into real life superstars. So I think that would probably be a lineup that I would give you there. But it certainly is a unique twist, and I'd be very interested in what people's ideas are with superstars down below. I know I've seen someone on Twitter or Instagram somewhere suggesting the idea of a stable of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, along with Scarlett, Killer Cross, Dexter Lumis. As great as that all is as one stable, and don't get me wrong, that would be a badass killer stable. There's so many of potential top guys in one group there. I feel Karrion Kross can be a main eventer on his own, so I wouldn't necessarily want to see that. I think, especially if Fiend's now going to being a babyface as well, you kind of want to see Fiend versus Cross. I think that would be a much more interesting dynamic of a match rather than having them almost trapped in one stable, because when you're in a stable, only one person of that stable can be the top guy, it feels a lot of the time. So the rest then going towards the mid-card and below. And when you look at those sort of superstars, they all want to be in and around the top, I think, especially when they all are on Raw or SmackDown. So that would be my take on that. But yeah, it certainly is an interesting question. It's really hard to think with some of the others. I mean, you want those sort of more mystical kind of characters, and it would also be interesting to see if people were continually brainwashed by The Fiend as well, people that he's beaten previously. I think that would be another key dynamic with those characters. So almost as if, like, rather than actually saying the superstars themselves are actually those characters influence and take over those superstars in that brainwashed kind of fashion, like that we've seen with Alexa Bliss. So actually, those characteristics start coming out with other people that say, I mean, Kane's not around now, but Kane's someone that's hung up on that wall each time. If an influence was taken over, and he was almost like the Mercy going forward, it would be a different dynamic for it. But certainly interesting. I really like that question. Thank you for asking that one, and let me know your feelings in the comments below. Straight as Josh with the next question now. Do you think Carmella is the mystery woman on SmackDown? Look closer and you'll see it. It is definitely Carmella. There is no two questions about it. This Week in Wrestling, something that George and I have been doing for a number of weeks, and I'm getting a lot of plugs on this week's episode actually here on AskSCW. It is the weekly podcast that we do. We've said a couple of weeks ago when we just got the heels with Carmella that it was going to be her. That was the report that was going around at the time. It then was the following SmackDown, and it was clear looking at the body shape, the hair, that it's definitely her. There's also a little tattoo that she's got on her left arm, and that was visible as well on the the backstage vision that we had last week. So we didn't see it this week, but clearly, again, going with it, it's definitely Carmella going forward. So yes, I 100% agree. It's definitely my prediction. It's going to be nobody else. Carmella is definitely the mystery woman. Interested to see how it will play out in storyline. And Armchair Wrestling is following on with that question, asking, do you not think the current teasers on SmackDown for Carmella are the same as the Emmalina promos? Feels like it's all going to come to nothing. Interesting take, that one there. Perhaps we could be getting Carmelina, maybe? I don't know. We'll have to ask me. I think this is one of those questions of time will tell. Maybe if you ask me in 16 weeks, because wasn't that how long, 4 months, Emmalina was doing these continual things week after week after week, and it went nowhere. Thankfully, we're only on week 3 with this, so we haven't gone much further yet, but it's going to be interesting what they do in storylines. For me, I'm happy there was a wait and see at this particular moment, because Carmella, I think she did need freshening up. She'd been off TV in the catering club when she had come in. She was winning the odd match here or there, but she was jobbing more than she was winning. So I'm hoping this is going to bring a fresh dynamic to her character. And I also like that WWE, I think I've said this in a previous video, is that instead of bringing someone new in for the role, they're taking superstars they've got on their current roster and thinking, right, they're not being utilised as best as they can be. Let's tweak the character. Let's do something to freshen up that character and put them back in the mix. And with Carmella, that feels exactly what they're doing. So I'm really pleased to see that they're not just throwing someone new in the mix with it. And hopefully it will not be another case of Emmalina. But yeah, I mean, there definitely are similarities in what they're doing with the characters' work so far. But we'll have to wait and see where it's going to lead to going forward. And like you say, will it come to nothing or will it have a purpose? There's always the fear it could come to nothing, because right now no one is getting into the Women's Championship picture ahead of Bayley and Sasha Banks at this particular moment, or Nikki Cross, I suppose, is. She's got the championship match, but I think Nikki Cross doesn't win here. The programs are clearly Bayley, Sasha, Nikki and Alexa. Carmella will come in and perhaps make a bit of noise, but I don't see her going in the immediate championship picture. But hopefully, with nothing else, she can get herself back on TV, get herself a regular slot, maybe a bit of a push, and maybe we can come back at this in a couple of months' time and we can re-evaluate, and hopefully this will look like that it's going somewhere good, hopefully. But yeah, hopefully not for Emmalina, but we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell is what I have to say at this stage. Jamie, the controversial one, Holmes, of our next question now. In your personal opinion, was the Best Friends Santana Ortiz a 5-star match? For me, I'd say 4.5 at best, but it takes something really special to get that 5-star stipulation match. Well, I'm not one for star ratings personally, but I know that Dave Meltzer did give this the 5 stars. As well as that this got higher star ratings than the following matches, which were Undertaker vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 and 26. This got a bigger rating than Bret Hart vs Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. Got bigger than TLC at WrestleMania 17. I mean, we're talking some of the biggest matches of all time. And this got better. It even got higher rating than Sting versus Ric Flair at Clash of the Champions, which for me just doesn't make sense. So for me, this isn't a 5-star match. It was a 5-star match in comparison to other parking lot brawls, yes. But in the grand scheme of things, are you going to remember this match in 6 months, a year? We're talking those matches there. They've gone through the test of time, some of them up to like 20 years, 30 years. Is this match going to be remembered in 30 years' time? It was the main event of Dynamite. It wasn't on a pay-per-view. It wasn't for a championship. Is it going to lead these superstars to going somewhere different, bigger directions? Potentially, but time will tell on that, so we don't know at this particular stage. So if I had to go on and give it a rating, I mean, you've given it 4.5 there. I think that's a fair, accurate rating, if I'm being honest. I think maybe a 4 is a safe rating if you're going amongst all of wrestling. Amongst its field of parking lot brawls, yeah, 5-star if you want, but I think then, like you say, you're probably smack bang on 4.5 in somewhere in the middle. But this has to be a match that's going to have real meanings to something going forward. It was a great match. It was awesome. I loved watching it. It was brilliant. But also those moments have to be something that stand the test of time. And I think that's the key here. And that's why I think Meltzer is missing when he's giving his ratings here. Last question this week coming from Matt Slam 13. What are your thoughts on NXT UK and Heritage Cup? It was great to have NXT UK back, I must admit. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it this week. I love the look of the BT studio. I think that they've done a great job there, and clearly shows what a great relationship WWE have with BT already. They've only been partnership since the start of the year, so that goes to show that yeah, some good things can be done in this little studio. Again, gives it that fresh, dynamic, you know, unique and individual feel when you're watching this show. So I like that. It's definitely a different break and sort of thing to what we were seeing from other WWE shows. As for the show itself, I thought that it was kind of something that eased us back in. I thought that was kind of the show this week. I mean, it didn't really go and throw everything at us at one go, which, you know, they could have done, but at the same time they kind of went where we kind of just come back in, reintroduced us to some of those characters that were, you know, missing for the last 6 months, and I think that was almost key in some way. I like the fact what they did with the tag team division. Almost every tag team showed up on screens, or, you know, out in the arena after Gallus won their tag team match over Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. We've built up for the Women's Championship match next week, which I'm looking forward to. Kaylee Ray versus Piper Niven, and of course as well Ilya Dragunov picking up the victory there over Noam Dar, and of course Volta making that big return at the end there of them two at the stare down. So that's a match that we're really looking forward to as well. Aoife Valkyrie as well had an impressive match. I really enjoyed her take on it as well. She had a good win over Isla Dawn this week. But looking at the Heritage Cup, it seems to be 2 out of 3 falls, 6 3-minute rounds. It's meant to be the sort of like the British rounds match. We had one with Sid Scala and Cassius Ohno earlier in the year. They obviously felt it was successful enough to try it again. I thought it was okay when I saw that match earlier in the year. I kind of felt that it was the wrong superstars in that match that didn't kind of give it as good of as what it could have been. But we've got 7 out of 8 names here given to us for what's going to be the Heritage Cup, and I think it's going to be good. I think now we've got it in a tournament fashion. We've got the likes of Trent Seven, Noam Dar, Alexander Wolf in there. It should be really exciting. It should be really good. They've got these, you know, different styles of technical wrestlers, strikers, high flyers. It's going to be interesting who the 8th person is going to be. But if you've noticed, the draws can be made next week, which I'm hoping it's going to be like an FA Cup or a Champions League style draw. And if they're going to do that, Pete Dunne is going to be the one doing it. I really think Pete Dunne is going to be in this tournament, and if he is that 8th person, the mystery person, for me, he goes on to win it, because he's the kind of superstar that would get that Heritage Cup over. So for me, Pete Dunne would be a great contender if he was to be in it. But I think overall, I am thumbs up for NXT UK. It's great to see it back. It was one of those brands that I don't want to say it was peaking just before it had a break for 6 months, but I don't think the break harmed the brand too much, in my personal opinion, because now that it's come back, there seems to be a lot of buzz about it. I think I saw on Twitter a lot of people giving NXT UK a chance for the first time, which hadn't before. So I think for this, NXT UK may thrive actually by having that 6-month break. And I think as they go further forward, I think it's exciting times. And yeah, like I say, they're unique, they're individual, they're their own. And looking with what we've got here, we've got some exciting matches building for the future. Heritage Cup to look forward to. Nigel McGuinness no longer furloughed. He's back in the commentary booth. NXT UK, stand out for me. Thumbs up. But that's all for me this week anyway here on AskSCW. Make sure to keep an eye on the channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Share with a friend. Hit the bell when you subscribe. Be notified when videos are released as and when. Clash of Champions predictions will be coming up in the week as well, so you get my take on all the matches that have been built up and who I think will win the matches. As well as that, we've got the podcast coming later in the week as well, and there'll be 1 or 2 more extra videos coming as well. So lots to keep an eye out for. Should be an exciting week ahead here on SCW, the wrestling channel. Look forward to having you there with us. Alright, thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Take care. Have yourselves a great day.